the High Court. The High Court accepted the fact that ivermectin, that we were interfering with the health policy of the ministry, and that courts are not in a position to interfere with that. And also, because one of the persons who brought this case was not just MAAFIM, but also Dr. Amir Farid. I don't know whether he's here or not, but Dr. Amir was here. And Dr. Amir was being charged in magistrate's court for possessing and giving for retail ivermectin. So they said that, we are trying to preempt the criminal case by bringing this particular case, and that is not allowed in law. So we lost in the High Court, and then we went to the Court of Appeal. Now, the Court of Appeal, which gave its decision just on the 25th, has made some very important and critical points. One of the main points that was being used by the Attorney General's Chambers, the government, was that this was not a registered product under the Sale of Drugs Act. See, there are two laws that apply. One is called the Poisons Act, which lists all the drugs and what can be done or not done in relation to the dispensing of those drugs. Then you have the Sale of Drugs Act, which deals with importing medicines from overseas by pharmacies and by others who are importers of medicines. So they were saying that this product was not registered. So you need to go through a licensing process to bring in this drug and get it registered. And if it is not registered, then doctors and everybody else cannot deal with these drugs and cannot dispense with these drugs. Our point, which we succeeded in the Court of Appeal, was that this registration has nothing to do with the autonomy that doctors have to dispense medicines or drugs or ingredients of drugs that are listed under the Poisons Act. So there is a Poisons Act, and they got a large number of medicines which the ministry can increase or decrease from time to time, which are listed. Ivermectin is one of those drugs that was listed. And we say that if you apply this law carefully, if you look at this law carefully, called the Poisons Act, it exempts doctors from any prohibition to dispense drugs that are listed in this, what they call Group B, and ivermectin is one of them. So this has very serious, very important implications for medical practitioners. In other words, medical practitioners don't have to bother about what is or is not registered. That's irrelevant for purposes of the exercise of their profession. What they have to be clear about is that they are entitled to dispense any medicine or ingredients of medicines or drugs that are in that huge list, 60, 70 drugs listed there. And they have the complete discretion and autonomy to serve their patients, provided they follow a certain protocol that is listed. And that's the usual protocol, which means it's on a case-by-case basis. It is particular to a particular patient who appears before you. You have to register his name, and the disease, the duration of the use of the drug, and so on and so forth. The normal things I think that doctors do. And so this autonomy, right, is very critical for purposes of doctors being able to dispense, to deal with their patients. They're not expected to go and see the legal provenance. That means whether or not legally it's registered or not, right? And to carry out a whole exercise. There are thousands of doctors throughout the country, right? So say a doctor in Bahau, for example, you mean to say he has to, this will be argued, that you mean to say this doctor will have to establish whether or not this particular product has been brought in, licensed, registered by some pharmacist or by some importer before we can decide to dispense a particular drug which is already listed, right? And in respect of a patient who's sitting in front of you. I mean, this is scandalous. We allow this, if you deprive medical practitioners of this autonomy. So this, the critical point that is being now established by the Court of Appeal is that doctors have complete autonomy to deal with their patients in respect of dispensing drugs, and in this case, it happened to be ivermectin because there is a context in which it brought the case, and that they cannot be prosecuted. Doctors have been prosecuted. They have paid fines, 5,000, 6,000, and so on, right, throughout the country. And one before Amir Farid is pending, I will be acting for him, coming up next month. And most of them, doctors, they surrender because they feel this might affect their profession, and and they threaten and they said, you'll be fined so much, or jailed, or both. So doctors, I think, don't like to go to jail so readily. And so they just say, okay, then the prosecuting officer will come to them and say, hey, you just pay a fine and all that, finish off this case. So they say they don't mind, the fine is $4,000-$5,000, which will be equivalent to 10 minutes of their service to some patients. So they don't mind, you see, doing it.
Correction, that is for lawyers.
Yeah, that's for lawyers.
Maybe not 10 or maybe 15 minutes. So this case is very important. And very important. So first, we said that nothing to do with registration. So you don't have to bother about whether a product is registered. All right. Secondly, they said, you are interfering. The High Court accepted their argument. Oh, you're interfering with health ministry policy. Who are you? Who's the court to try and decide and shape a policy that is already done by KJ and all these people who have looked at WHO and looked at all kinds of things. There are 3 judges or 2 judges sitting there have no right to interfere with the health ministry policy. So we skirted that point by saying we're not just questioning that policy. We are saying what is the right of doctors in respect of treating patients that are before them. Can they or can they not do based on the act that exists, which is the Poisons Act? So don't bring in another act and a regulation under another act to interfere with the autonomy of doctors. So I think this is, we can have question and answers later, but this is the essence of the quintessence of this particular case that took a while. We argued at length, and the court reserved this judgment. So we were quite uncertain how this outcome will be. But this outcome has become the outcome was on the 25th. And they have come up with broad grounds about 2 pages. Now, the government can appeal, of course, but it's not an automatic right of appeal. They have to get leave to appeal. So if they apply for leave to appeal, we can oppose that. Or even if they get the appeal, then we can fight the appeal itself. But we do not know whether the government will or will not do that. Or what the government will do. Maybe they will remove some of these drugs from the Group B list. But then that will be open to another challenge. So I think that is my brief introduction. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that basically sums up why this judgment is so important. And I think we cannot emphasize more than what Dr. Korea said, that doctors have been intimidated, and prevented from doing what they felt and knew to be right. And this cannot be condoned or supported. I think the rights of doctors to carry out their job, clinical duties, without this kind of intimidation and wrongful interpretation of the law. So we hope, we are not challenging or fighting the Ministry of Health. We want to establish that we are with the Ministry of Health in doing what is best for our patients. That they should not put, undue obstacles and roadblocks if what we are doing is for the betterment of, for the patient. So yeah, I think we welcome any questions. And I also must say, why we have chosen, minds to make this press conference. Sri Kim, I must say, became a champion for ivermectin. Although the subject, today of the law is nothing to do with ivermectin, but he, bravely, brought in and actually enabled the doctors and patients access to ivermectin, and for that we respect him for standing up for what was what he believed to be right, and to actually help doctors source for these medications. So thank you very much. Thanks.
Maybe I just add a few words to this landmark judgment to bring the memory of the media. Now, when the breakout of the COVID-19 means it was happened on 2019 November in Wuhan, and it became a pandemic. And at that time, there's no treatment. And also, you remember, anybody call it, you got stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, up to stage 4, they start putting a puncture your lung, and you no medicine, you have to. So, for me, actually, it's based on the concept of one life is too many. One life is too many. I believe all doctors, like lawyers, when you become lawyers, you want to hold the justice. Yeah? Doctor is the same. One life is too many. All of them, I believe, that is a period of all the doctors in the world have one of the biggest grievances, like you, me, media, that one life is too many. How come no medicine? You know? So they must search a medicine, how to save life, that's all. So I think this landmark, what you call judgment to me, I must say, the high, what you call, is just, when you talk about the power of the doctor, I believe the judge also have, I believe, I think this principle, one life is too many. Doctor is the one who has spent their life, study, and get their license, and when they see there's a medicine to save life, and they just take it and apply it. And for myself, because I read and somehow also message, like sometimes we think that God chosen you like that. I got so much information, and I even got connected to God FLCCC. It's called Frontline COVID
Critical care.
Critical care. They are the group of doctors like that. I say we must find something to save life based on the concept of one life too many. So I can also feel why this doctor, they think this landmark, and it's very important because they are fighting for the principle to be a doctor as well. So I just to add all this. Thank you. We welcome any question.
Dr. Mustafa, you have been quite the front line of ivermectin and everything. What is your view now today?
I am very happy because the doctors are allowed. They are allowed to at least what they want, what they think is right. That is the best that we can shout for at the moment. If any COVID or any sort of COVID-related problems that come from coronavirus, we are at least now we are free to have the best. Thank you for the team.
Any question for the press?
I can pose a question to the press as well, can I? I think, from a doctor's point of view, during this crisis, I would say one of the failings and why we ended up, facing this kind of situation is the press was so muzzled that you all lost your voice. You all didn't question authorities. But this was not just, the group assembled here, but globally this happened. I think, if anything, we need to learn a lesson from that crisis, that we cannot allow, those in authority to muzzle us just because they are in authority. I think they owe us answers, and the people who should be asking those questions are, those of you. So I'm saying this openly because I felt disappointed that, the press just swallowed hook, line and sinker what the health ministry was throwing out. Just because it was KJ, just because it's a Director General saying this, I think it is wrong. I think we should constantly hold them to account for their actions as well. Sorry.
I totally agree with you, Dr. Vijay. We have spent about 40 years, most of us, and they are what politicians are totally different, right? They do not know anything and they'll suddenly come and say, we are thinking, why are politicians making this decision? They do not know anything. It should be the doctors and the scientists making the decision. That was another biggest flaw here, right? And we all doctors were all very quiet. We didn't want to say anything, So that means whatever we study doesn't make any more meaning, right? So we have to open up in the right way, not that we are against anything. So right things, you open up and stand up. That is what MAAFIM is all about.
Following Dr. Vijay, I think all the press going forward, I think the world, first we have, last time we have SARS, we have SARS, we have AIDS,
bird flu.
a lot of these disease. I think important thing, the doctors, they've been trained and to save life, and to what the time I see is there's medicine, but you say you cannot apply. So I don't talk about the case in Malaysia. I have so many social YouTube media, you can go and check. Even in the West, a lot of family at that time, they go to the court, to apply from the court and allow their family to use ivermectin. And at that time, a lot of cases, they save their loved one. Because they can't just say, no medicine, that's all. No medicine at all. Even the doctor say, there is medicine called ivermectin, even there's bad called chloroquine.
Hydroxychloroquine.
All those different pronouncing is there. So I think one life too many. I hope the press must publish this. One life is too many. It might happen to you, happen to me, happen to your family, my family. The medical field must hold on to really one life too many, a concept that the doctor do their jobs. I think this is very significant and landmark for this judgment. To me, that's my view. Yeah.
So this, I'm not from the international press, but I'm from Australia, and I know what we suffered in Australia with this episodes that we had. We were not allowed to have any other alternative medicines, say ivermectin. This actually separated a lot of our families, by the way. I have not been vaccinated. I actually quit my work to stay home and not to be. I chose that. But the question I ask you, Prof, is that does this open other doors for doctors? Does this set a precedent internationally?
Well, because we have networks, lawyers have networks, and so through the networks, of course, there will be people will be using the case law that we have and the decision of the court as a basis to argue their cases in their respective jurisdiction. We ourselves, right at the beginning, were, had access to decisions made in South Africa, for example. But that was on a slightly different ground. So the short answer is yes, there is a network and people will use each other's cases as precedent. But it ultimately will be left to the courts itself to decide whether to accept or not to accept that. But as far as we are concerned, we have we are in the forefront of this legal challenge and successful legal challenge. And we will then, through the internet, spread this good word, as it were, to all others, so that they can be inspired to take the same action and the same angle, which has been established by one of our apex courts, one of our high courts here, superior courts, the Court of Appeal. So the short answer is that yes, it can have an influence, and it will have an influence in some of the lesser jurisdictions, especially.
We also initiated on July 24th a World Ivermectin Day during that period. So what you are saying that I believe I always say the fact is the best measurement of the truth. So the truth of ivermectin must be reviewed and protected. The truth, this is not medicine, come from nowhere. It was invented by two PhD doctors. It was actually a lot of cases that ivermectin do help. So I believe whether legal or not legal, to me, one discovered a PhD, not PhD. The Nobel Award discovered. Nobel Award didn't simply give out a award. Surely, ivermectin is good for human being. Then only he give award. Why during the period it can be suppressed like this? This is what I think Dr. Vijay said. A lot of grievances throughout the doctors, and they go again the principle of the medical research, principle of medical practice, that one life is too many. Okay, no more. Thank you. Let's have coffee.
Yeah. A few things first. First, I'd like to thank everybody here, Prof. Udel, Dr. Vijay, and Sri, Dr. Mustafa, and Dr. Najib, all my strong people behind me and behind our society, and Dr. George over there, Dr. Bagi is at the back, and of course all the members of the press, and wonderful Shafina for doing this as usual. She's amazing, and she managed to get everybody together at very, very short notice. I'm amazed by her talents, and I really thank you from the bottom of my heart. Ivermectin is a drug. It's just not used for COVID. It's been around more than 20 years. It's been used in fungal infections. It's been used in parasitic infections. It's now used in it has an antiviral and viral infections. And it's also now being used in various types of cancers. So it's an amazing, amazing drug. And I do not see any reason why it should be suppressed. And everybody in this world has a right to treatment. Okay, as a doctor, when I see a patient in front of me, my first instinct is, what's the problem and how can I solve it? And I want to be able to do that. I want the autonomy as a doctor to be able to practice medicine as best as I can for the benefit of my patient. That's a relationship with my patient and I. And nobody should be able to, interfere with that. No ministry, no legalities, nothing. It is between I and the patient which is the best treatment, because I have the best interest for my patient as a doctor. And I feel practicing medicine is an art and a science, but at the same time, there's a relationship between us and the patient, and we want to give them the best treatment. It's not fair that we suppress the treatment just to, satisfy Ministry of Health, Ministry of this and Ministry of that. I really don't care. End of the day, I want to do best for my patient. Right? So that's my take on this. Other than that, I also want to invite you all to come to our conference. MAAFIM is a society set up by like-minded doctors, all these wonderful friends around us. And we decided that, we don't want to just practice pharma-based drugs. We want to be able to practice functional medicine, which means we go to the root cause of the infection or cause of the disease, whatever the root cause, we want to identify the root cause and then we want to manage it as best as possible, not only using allopathic drugs but also using other modalities for treatment. So that's what our society MAAFIM, which stands for, here you see it, MAAFIM is Malaysian Association for Advancement of Functional Integrated Medicine. So we are in a very exciting time now. Yesterday when I saw that judgment, was so exciting for all my members, for all my doctors out there, not only nationally but internationally. It was a great judgment for us. So I'd really like to thank you so much for your hard work, all the work you did to do this, and for us it's a great victory.
Just a conclusion point, all those doctors who have been fined and have paid the fine, I think that's a very interesting avenue to recover those fines, although it's very difficult to do that.
So on the 14th and 17th of September, this wonderful Golden Horses, we are going to have a fantastic international conference with great flavor. I invite all of you to be my guests, our guests to the conference. So please keep the dates free and just come and give us all the names. We will invite you and you are really welcome to join us and enjoy our conference and be exposed to the various science that's coming with all the speakers from around the world.